Overtime was taken away, which is almost like our salary.
Anger over diminishing pay sparks an illegal police strike in Ekurhuleni. Searing temperatures of 40 degrees Celsius hit the Western and Northern Cape.
We are reduced to a colony in a very short space of time. We are actually being bullied.
Fikile Mbalula says South Africa needs to man up to Donald Trump. And 80,000 pages into JFK's assassination have been released. Do they dispel the conspiracy theories? Hello, I'm Jane Dutton.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
The South African Weather Service issued a warning for extremely hot and uncomfortable weather conditions for the two provinces for the next 2 days. Last week, the city's Disaster Risk Management Centre reported that it recorded more than 1,000 informal residential fires between July and December 2024 due to heat.
Key tips to beat the heat includes drinking plenty of water, make use of water spray bottles to cool down, submerge your feet in cold water to help regulate blood flow that will help to cool the body, wear a wide brim hat and lightweight loose clothing, take cool showers or baths, limit outdoor activity to earlier or later in the day.
Just the opposite in parts of Gauteng. The province is experiencing severe thunderstorms, damaging winds and localized flooding. A former South African Airways board member has been remanded in custody and will appear in court again next week. Yakhe Kwinana is accused of committing acts of extortion and malicious damage to property. It's alleged that the crimes were committed in a small village in East London. Police say Kwinana was always accompanied by armed men when she allegedly threatened her victims and extorted money from them. She was arrested yesterday after police acted on intelligence information gathered by an inter-provincial task team.
The suspect has been remanded in custody. She will then be appearing on Monday in East London Magistrate Court to continue with this particular court appearance and this investigation.
Ekurhuleni Metro police officers striking illegally today will face consequences. The Metro's spokesperson, Zweli Dlamini, says investigations into the illegal protest will help the city determine what the consequences will be. This morning, the city's law officials went on strike on several routes during peak hour.
We're in Germiston today at the Ekurhuleni Civic Centre, where EMPD members were protesting. Earlier today, EMPD members downed tools blocking major highways, including the N12, R21 and N17. This comes after a decision by the city of Ekurhuleni to cut the overtime hours of EMPD members. So in order to compensate for the losses, EMPD members are calling for a 10% increase in their salaries. One of the other demands that they have made is an allowance fee for the danger that they face in the jobs that they do. In attendance, MMC for Finance, Jongizizwe Dlabati, was accompanied by MMC for Community Safety, Sizagele Masuku. They have promised the protesting EMPD members that tomorrow, a meeting with the executive mayor of the city of Ekurhuleni will hold a meeting to address the individual issues listed in the memorandum. Jabuli Lembata, Eyewitness News in Germiston.
Disgraced pastor Stephen Zondo is applying for the presiding judge in his rape matter to recuse himself. Zondo made a brief appearance in the Pretoria High Court today. He's facing 9 counts of rape and sexual assault. The leader of the Rivers of Living Water Church is accused of raping members of his church staff and an 8-year-old girl in 1980. Legal counsel for the ANC has argued that the party's cadre deployment policy is constitutional.
The ANC says the specific provisions in the Constitution relied upon by the DA illustrate the validity of the cadre deployment policy and are contrary to its unconstitutionality argument. The DA has submitted that Section 197, subsection 3 of the Constitution is apolitical and does not allow for a practice like cadre deployment. The former opposition party also argued that it was not necessary for it to specify particular parts of the custom that are unconstitutional, citing the practice as a whole is in conflict with the provisions of the law. But the ANC says the DA has failed to provide any evidence to support the claim that the cadre deployment policy is in conflict with the Constitution. and therefore the court cannot apply its mind in a vacuum. The former majority party also says the DA has not met the test for an appeal, citing there must be reasonable prospects of success and there should be compelling reasons why the appeal should be granted. It argues that the constitutional provisions actually do not preclude the practice from being exercised and therefore concludes the DA has failed to meet the test for leave to appeal to be granted. Zolega Kotashe, Eyewitness News.
ANC Secretary-General Fikile Mbalula says South Africa cannot shy away from President Donald Trump's aggression towards Pretoria. Mbalula was speaking on EWN's Politricking podcast where he touched on the union building's strained relationship with the White House. Since Trump began his second term as president exactly 2 months ago, America has faced diplomatic fallout with South Africa due to its perception of the Expropriation Act.
Before we name a school in South Africa, we must report to America. We are reduced to a colony in a very short space of time. We are actually being bullied. And that is why we say our state must safeguard our interest, work with America, normalize relations if there's anything that is there, but at the same time, do not lead us to bullyism of the United States.
The Jocelyn Smith trial was adjourned for a second time today after the state's key witness became emotional. Earlier in the day, Laurentia Lombard asked to be excused during cross-examination. The court later heard that she wasn't feeling well. Jocelyn's mother, Kelly Smith, Jacqueline Apollos and Stefano van Rijn are charged with kidnapping and human trafficking for the girl's disappearance. South Africans are struggling with the rising cost of living. Food, housing and utility prices top the inflation charts. Inflation remained flat in February, recording the same 3.2% reading seen in January. Stats SA says the annual rate for food and non-alcoholic beverages accelerated to 2.8% in February from the previous month's 2.3%.
On the downside, cold beverages, milk, dairy and eggs, oils and fats, and sugar, confectionery and desserts witnessed slower price increases.
Was there a sinister plot behind US President John F. Kennedy's assassination? It doesn't seem that the unredacted release of the files relating to the assassination 60 years ago will tell us more than we already know. The move follows an executive order issued by President Donald Trump in January, directing the unredacted release of the remaining files related to the assassinations of Kennedy, his brother, former Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy, and civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. Investigations showed that the shooting was carried out by a former Marine sharpshooter, Lee Harvey Oswald, acting alone. U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi said a recent spate of attacks on Tesla property owned by key Donald Trump ally Elon Musk was akin to, quote, domestic terrorism and vowed to impose severe punishments on perpetrators. Bondi's statement came after the latest incident in which a fire was started at a Tesla collision center in Las Vegas, damaging 5 vehicles. It's believed this is in response to his dismantling of several government agencies, putting thousands of civil servants out of work. There have also been attacks on Tesla cars in Germany and France. And we leave you with that. Don't forget to download the EWN app and see you for more again tomorrow.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.